Governor Josh Shapiro's budget proposed more than $1 billion in basic education funding this year.
And as Fox 43's Marshall Keeley explains, this was just the first step in what could be a long battle in Harrisburg.
In his second budget proposal, Governor Josh Shapiro wasted no time addressing a long-standing issue in the Commonwealth.
My budget invests $1.1 billion in new funding this year for our schools.
The governor's plan introduces an additional $1.1 billion in basic education funding. Almost $900 million would come in the form of a first-year investment through a new adequacy formula. The remaining $200 million would be funneled through the Basic Education Funding Commission's fair funding formula. It's directly in line with the BEFC's majority report, which passed on party lines. The Pennsylvania State Education Association supports that plan.
We need to give the students the money that they need right now to give them the services they so badly need, and not do it when it's politically convenient. We need to step up. We need to do what's right. We need to give more public dollars to public education.
And consider this for a moment. Even if we fund every single one of the initiatives that I talked about today and is contained in my budget, we would still have an $11 billion surplus at the end of June 2025.
That would be down from the $14 billion surplus the state expects by the end of the fiscal year. Republicans suggest the rate of spending is unsustainable.
We have an independent, nonpartisan economic organization called the Independent Fiscal Office. They have projected a $3 billion deficit.
We're going to have a deficit. I mean, we are in deficit spending right now. And so I'm hoping the governor's got a plan.
We put the question to Democratic State Representative Mike Sturla, who backed the Basic Education Funding Commission's majority report the governor's budget proposal is based upon.
When people hear $5 billion with a B, I think they often wonder, where's that money going to come from, and is it going to impact my taxes?
Well, at the state level, we've been running surpluses now for several years. And the projection is that we will continue to run surpluses. We have a, $6 or $7 billion rainy day fund, so that in the event that that progress stalls at all, we at least have a cushion to get us through some of that.
Isn't that just in an emergency situation, though?
Right. Well, but that would be like for 1 year, like, oh, hey, you hit a recessionary spot. The administration said, we're not buying into a plan where we're going to have to raise taxes. The IFO says, well, we might run out of money soon. The Shapiro administration has actually projections that are more conservative than the IFOs, and they believe we can do this.
No matter how much the state decides to add to its basic education funding contribution, the Pennsylvania School Boards Association says issues persist.
When you compare increases in mandated costs, pensions, charter schools, and special education, what the state contributes and what school districts pay, there's around a $4 billion difference. So local taxpayers and school districts are on the hook for that $4 billion. And even if we took every single dollar of increase in basic education funding over that time, we're still somewhat like $2.6 billion short. So that's up to local taxpayers to fill that difference.
It is time to solve these pressing problems, to meet this moment responsibly and with bipartisan compromise.
The new budget and education spending plan faces an uphill battle. Pennsylvania is the only state in the country with a divided House and Senate.
I'm going to get to work. The governor's budget address is the starting point in the process of crafting the Commonwealth's budget.
There were some political reasons why the majority didn't want to come up with just a report that we agreed on. They wanted to put their points on. And Chairman Sturla made that clear I don't know if it was a public meeting or executive meeting. He said, I'm not going to sign a report that doesn't have a dollar amount in it.
We can't just say we're going to get a consensus report that doesn't get the job done. We can get to an agreement where we can say this met some of the needs that the Republicans wanted, met some of the needs that we wanted, and ultimately, whether it's what we wanted or what they wanted, does it meet the needs of the kids?
The more time that passes, the longer Pennsylvania's inequitable and unconstitutional education funding remains.
For a lot of our school districts, they're trying to long-term plan, but then those line items that they're planning to be there are being held up with the budget fights.
Over the next few weeks, we'll be addressing some of the top issues happening in public schools statewide and the ways the budget could apply to those concerns. We'll dive into aging school buildings, changing mental health needs, a prolonged teacher shortage, and how charter schools fit into the equation. And you can find a detailed breakdown of how much your school district could stand to gain under the new budget proposal right now on fox43.com. Marshall Keeley, Fox 43 News.